Did you know the US just expanded its territory by a whopping 1 million square kilometers? No, this isn't an early April Fool's joke. Now, before you start imagining an army of construction workers and bulldozers stretching out the coastline, let's clarify a bit. This isn't about adding more land. Rather, it's all about redefining the boundaries of the US continental shelf. Yes, you heard right, the land under the sea is the new frontier. And no, Aquaman wasn't involved in any way, at least as far as we know. This expansion spans across 7 ocean regions, with the Arctic claiming over half of the new territory. But don't worry, this doesn't mean your favorite beach is going to be overrun by polar bears anytime soon. So, are you ready to dive into the details of this fascinating move? Buckle up, because we're about to embark on an interesting journey. Before we delve deeper, let's get familiar with a crucial term, the Extended Continental Shelf, or ECS for short. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is an ECS? It's not a new hipster coffee shop, I assure you. The ECS is an underwater extension of a coastal state's land territory. Imagine it as your backyard, but instead of a lawn, there's a seabed bustling with marine life and resources. It's this submerged landmass that extends beyond a country's territorial sea, reaching out into the deep blue sea. Let's think of it this way. If the territorial sea is the front porch of a country, then the ECS is like the far end of your property, where you might find hidden treasures or, in the case of the sea, untapped resources. And these resources could be anything from oil and gas deposits to minerals and even species yet to be discovered. The ECS allows coastal nations to claim and manage these resources, giving them rights over the seabed and subsoil, but not over the water column or the creatures swimming above. So, no claiming of dolphins or seagulls, folks. Now, the US isn't the new kid on the block here. It's joining a club of over 75 countries that have already defined their ECS limits. Countries like Russia, Canada, and Australia have been playing in this sandbox, or should we say seabed, for a while now. But claiming an ECS isn't as simple as planting a flag underwater. It's governed by the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, and requires detailed geological and hydrographic data, so it's a bit more complicated than claiming the last slice of pizza at a party. Now that we've got the basics covered, let's see how this concept played a role in the US territory expansion. This expansion didn't happen overnight. It was a journey that began way back in 2003. Picture it, the early 2000s, a time of frosted tips and cargo pants, and the birth of this monumental undertaking. It was like a grand road trip, but instead of bickering over the radio station, we had multiple agencies collaborating to gather crucial geological data. This was no small task. It was akin to assembling a massive geographical jigsaw puzzle, with each piece representing a sliver of the Earth's crust. A whole host of agencies were involved, each bringing their unique skills to the table. Together, they embarked on this mission. A mission to redefine the boundaries of the US continental shelf. And where did this journey take us? Oh, just across 7 ocean regions. We hopped from the icy expanse of the Arctic to the bustling Atlantic and Pacific coasts, then to the Bering Sea with its rich marine life. We didn't stop there, though. Onwards, we went to the stunning Mariana Islands, and finally, the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico. Each region presented its own set of challenges and rewards. The Arctic, for instance, was like the final boss in a video game. Difficult, but oh so satisfying when conquered. Over half of the new territory is located there, making it a key player in this expansion. Throughout this journey, the focus was on the seabed and its resources. Think of it as a treasure hunt, with the treasures being the wealth of resources hidden beneath the ocean floor. It wasn't about gaining control over the water column or fishing rights. It was about claiming what lay beneath, a world often out of sight but never out of mind. Quite a journey, wasn't it? But what does this expansion mean for the US? Let's talk about the impact of this expansion. After all, size does matter, doesn't it? So let's dive into the blue and get to the bottom of this. By expanding its continental shelf boundaries, the United States has significantly strengthened its control over marine resources. Now that's a big deal, because the seabed is not just a vast expanse of sand and rocks, it's a treasure trove filled with valuable resources like oil, natural gas, and rare minerals. But before we get carried away with visions of underwater gold mines, let's clarify something. This expansion doesn't mean that the US can suddenly control all the water and fish within its new boundaries. The declaration does not extend U.S. jurisdiction over the water column or fishing rights. So, sorry folks, no extra sushi or clam chowder just yet. What this does mean is that the U.S. has gained control over the seabed and its resources. This is where the real potential lies. Imagine the possibilities. Vast reserves of oil and natural gas waiting to be tapped, rare earth minerals that could drive technological advancements, even potential sites for offshore wind farms. In fact, the largest section of the expanded territory lies north of Alaska, a region known for its abundant natural resources. This could open up new avenues for exploration and extraction, potentially fueling economic growth. But it's not just about the money. Having control over these marine resources also gives the U.S. a strategic advantage. It provides leverage in international relations and the potential to influence global resource markets. So, in essence, the U.S. just got a major upgrade in its marine real estate. Now let's look at this expansion from an international perspective. This monumental expansion isn't just a domestic affair. It's a global chess game, played on a board of international law, maritime boundaries, and continental shelves. So, how does this move fit into the grand scheme? Well, the claim to expand the United States territory adheres to international law. It's all above board by the book and in line with the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. But here's the twist. It hasn't been ratified by the U.S. Senate. That's right, the claim hasn't received the official stamp of approval from Uncle Sam's own governing body. An intriguing plot twist, wouldn't you say? So, where does this leave the international community? Well, we've got some old agreements coming into play. Cast your mind back to 1990. The US and Russia, two giants of the world stage, agreed on a maritime boundary. This expansion aligns perfectly with that agreement. So, at least on the Eastern Front, things seem to be smooth sailing. But what about our friendly neighbors up north? Well, that's where things could get a little frosty. With a significant portion of the new territory lying north of Alaska, future negotiations with Canada might be on the horizon. These discussions could shape the future of this expanded territory and the resources it holds. International politics and geography, quite a mix, isn't it? But it's not just about politics and territory. This expansion isn't just about territory and resources. It's also about balancing economic aspirations with environmental stewardship. As we delve deeper into the concept of the Extended Continental Shelf, or ECS, it becomes clear that this isn't just a game of Monopoly. In fact, it's quite the opposite. With this new territory comes a new set of responsibilities, a delicate balancing act between driving economic growth and preserving the environment. The seabed is a treasure trove of resources, but it's also home to countless marine species, some of which are yet to be discovered. Any economic activity must be conducted with utmost care to ensure minimal disruption to these ecosystems. In this scenario, the importance of sustainable practices cannot be overstated. As custodians of this expanded territory, the United States will need to demonstrate responsible stewardship, ensuring that the extraction of resources does not compromise the health of the marine environment. So while the U.S. has gained a new territory, it has also gained new responsibilities. Wow, we've covered a lot of ground. Or should we say sea? Well, whatever we call it, we've certainly dived deep into the intriguing world of geography today. We've explored the fascinating concept of the extended continental shelf and how the U.S. has used it to expand its territory by a whopping 1 million square kilometers. We've journeyed through the complex processes and collaborations that led to this expansion and considered the profound impacts it will have for the U.S., both domestically and internationally. We've also contemplated the delicate balancing act between economic aspirations and environmental stewardship in managing these new territories. And now, we've reached the end of this exploration, or should we say, the shoreline. But the journey doesn't have to end here. We invite you to continue the conversation, to ask questions, share thoughts, and express your feelings about this historic expansion. Now that we've navigated through this sea of information, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe for more exciting content, and share your thoughts or an emoji or two that represents the US expansion in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.